Romeo and Juliet, or The Worst Week Ever, a story about two star-crossed lovers in ancient Italy. Romeo is a Montague and Juliet is a Capulet. The Capulets and the Montagues are not very friendly with each other. There have been many versions and adaptations of Romeo and Juliet over the years, from the 1936 version starring a 43-year-old Leslie Howard as Romeo and a 34-year-old Norma Shearer as Juliet, to the 1968 version which was filmed in Rome, to Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet starring Leonardo DiCaprio with guns. The adaptations also include West Side Story with these terrifying gentlemen, and whatever this clip is.
Oh, this is one of your little jokes. No, I don't get it.
But most of them have one thing in common. Romeo and Juliet die at the end. That's what happens. But let's talk about the story without making it too complicated. It all starts with a prologue delivered by a guy named Chorus. His name isn't actually Chorus. He's named after the Greek chorus from ancient Greece. In this clip, the actor is performing in Shakespeare's theater, the Globe Theater.
Two households, both alike in dignity. In fair Verona, where we lay our sea. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventure piteous overthrows, doth with their death bury their parents' strife.
He tells us about the two warring families as well as the star-crossed lovers. Star-crossed here means fated by the stars. They were always meant to be together. After the prologue comes a spectacular fight between the Montagues and the Capulets. After the fight is broken up, the Prince of Verona says that the heads of the families will be held responsible for everyone else in the family from now on, which sets the tension for the rest of the play. Next, we meet Romeo with his cousin Benvolio and Romeo's best friend Mercutio. Romeo is sad that the girl he loves, not Juliet, doesn't love him back. Benvolio says, "Hey, let's go crash that Capulet party tonight." And they eventually decide to go. When they get to the ball, Romeo falls in love with Juliet and vice versa before they discover who the other one is. "Oh no, she's a Capulet." "Oh no, he's a Montague." Tybalt wants to fight Romeo for being at the party, but Lord Capulet says, "No way. I'll get into trouble if you do that, bro." And then Romeo leaves with Benvolio and Mercutio. His friends run home, but Romeo stays and sneaks, like the sneaky little sneaker he is, around behind the house, where we see the most famous stage scene in history, the balcony scene.
But soft. What light through yonder window breaks? It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heavens, having some business, to entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Oh, me.
She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo. Wherefore art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father, and refuse thy name. Or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Shall I hear more, or shall I speak of this?
'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What is Montague? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose, by any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo doff thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all myself.
I take thee at thy word.
The very next day, Romeo and Juliet get married. Friar Lawrence decides to marry them to each other because he thinks it may end the family feud. Shortly afterward, Romeo is confronted by Tybalt. There's a bit of a sword fight between Tybalt and Mercutio is accidentally killed. He's the first to die. You should keep count. Next, Romeo fights Tybalt, and Tybalt dies. Then Romeo runs away. When the prince finds out what happened, he banishes Romeo from Verona forever. When Romeo's mother hears the news, she dies of a broken heart. Juliet's parents think that Juliet is upset because her cousin Tybalt died. And they're kind of right, but they don't know that Juliet is married to Romeo, the person who killed Tybalt. They decided the best thing for depression, in this case, is arranged marriage. They tell her that she's marrying Paris, and she knows she can't. But the friar has an idea. He says to Juliet, drink this potion. It'll make you look like you're dead. They'll put you into the tomb, and I'll have Romeo come and find you. The friar gives her the potion. She goes home and drinks it and falls into a death pallor. Meanwhile, the friar sends a letter to Romeo. Everyone is very upset, and they give Juliet a funeral and put her into her tomb. Meanwhile, Romeo never gets the letter, but he does get news that Juliet died. Romeo buys some poison for himself and rushes to her tomb, where he meets Paris. Paris says,
got something for you. Here it is, gypsophila. Lovely. What does it mean? It means lover of chalk, although ironically it grows better in a clay soil. It's weird, isn't it? You think you got it down and then bam, you do some reading, it turns out he likes clay soil, even though he thought it was lover of chalk. Weird.
No. He thinks Romeo is a vandal and fights him, and Paris dies. Romeo finds Juliet and thinks she's dead. He drinks the poison, and he dies. Juliet wakes up and finds Romeo dead, and she stabs herself. In the end, everyone shows up and finds Romeo and Juliet. Friar Lawrence has some explaining to do, and everyone decides to end their feud.